Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases.
Hello, everyone. Glad y'all are able to join us tonight. For everyone that's new to the channel, and as y'all watch this videos that we present, I always have respect for the mods, families, and each other. And normally, during my normal shows during the 8 o'clocks on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays, we have a structure. The morning watch crew, generally we start off with some type of small presentation. Tonight, that won't be the case. We're just going to go straight into chat. I've got a lot of things that's going on right now as this channel prepares to move into going out and working a cold case that I've probably been involved in, I don't know, several months on Larry Crumb's daughter, Amber Crumb, a case out in Dallas-Fort Worth area, missing since 1983. But a lot of things are going on, trying to get up a list of materials and equipment to work cold cases. Our foundation, the True Crime Web Foundation that we formed to help us buy that equipment, and then our membership and everyone that contributes to this channel was absolutely amazing. So the mob crew, Chris, is going to be joining us on the road, and I look forward to working with him. But tonight we'll just talk about anything y'all wish to talk about. There's a few things in the news that's been going on. The Department of Corrections out in Delphi in Carroll County, a judge there said that Richard Allen has been approved that he can move to another prison that would better serve his medical, physical, and psychological needs. So that was interesting. Also, Koberger, there was a change in the Idaho law about firing squad, and what would that mean in the future, and what could he face. So a lot of stuff going on. But anything y'all want to talk about, from equipment to any of the news. And I don't know how many of y'all saw earlier broadcasts. Ruckus had a LA on this show tonight, and they was talking about Florida fire. Great presentation. But one of the things that y'all should note, that if you get a chance to go watch that presentation, Ruckus Rocks, is you'll see how law enforcement officers interact. Now, LA is currently active. Ruckus is retired, like myself. But the atmosphere that you see between those two individuals ragging each other, and their very colorful language they use, is typical law enforcement. And I mean, it's constant that in law enforcement, you generally in the squad room, there's not a lot of things that's taken very seriously. Everybody rags everybody. Because you go out and you're so serious in the next 8 to 12 hours, depending on your shift, that you're so serious because you're dealing with serious matters. It may be a domestic, it could be child abuse, it could be some type of assault, robbery. And so there's a lot of times that law enforcement absolutely is, deadpan, very little emotion. But when they're outside of the public, they do let their hair down. And if you do go see Ruckus, and also if you go to LA, they're a little bit more colorful in their language than I am. and I'm a little bit more laid back than they are. But as far as uh, uh, experiences, they absolutely bring something to the table as far as what I appreciate of seeing in law enforcement and the professionals I work with. But with that being said, let's see who's in chat tonight and what's going to be going on tonight. You see, we got Skittles, we got Cat in a Hat. Good to see y'all. Let's see if I can get this thing to work in here. And there's Jocelyn Lee. Let's see here. What's going on? Cocksure Nose was says that was wondering if anybody else was on East Coast or Eastern Standard Time. Believe this is the second live you caught. I'm glad you're here. Looking forward to seeing you in chat more often. Let's see here. Then I'm here. There's Sharon. And Dave. With Dave in the house, at some point we're going to turn to Waffle House. And the Southern Gal's here. Good to see you. Hope your channel's doing well, Southern Gal. Grumpy Cat. I knew it. I had at 12:04. He said, "Let's get the Waffle House party started." So he was active even before I went. Hello, Jill. Good to see you. Pigeon Mac's in here tonight. I saw Pigeon Mac earlier when Ruckus and L.A. was going at it. I tell you, you let them children get together, and they, almighty. Triple S, how you doing tonight? There's Betty. Or Ann's here. We are doing well. And like I said, if you have anything you want to discuss tonight, any case, don't care, any topic, my career, anyone's career, law enforcement general, just whatever, we'll discuss it. Because like I said, I've been working so much on my equipment and trying to get everything, the logistics ready for our trip, because this week I've got to make some phone calls, and a lot of decisions have to be made, either with the trip to Texas, or if that one is put off, then I will probably be going to Nevada. And then if Nevada doesn't go through, then I'll probably be going to Idaho. So I got a lot. I've got places to be. Did you get a haircut, Steve? Absolutely. Mrs. Steve took me out in the carport and took the clippers to me. Persevere is here. Good to see you. Lily's here. There's Jeff. Good to see you. Michelle is listening from Fort Worth, Texas. Going to be there, and hopefully in about let's see, about 15, 16 days. I'll probably get out there a little bit early. We're supposed to start that first week of May, but I'll probably go in the weekend before the Monday and try to get everything set up. Let's see what we got going here. Try and get. Let's see here. All right. This thing jumps ahead of me sometime. I've almost mastered the Google machine. For you people that's not tech savvy, the Google machine is this here computer thing. I think it's going to catch on. I could be late to this, but was the raid in Delphi near Bicycle Bridge Road discussed? It's been discussed on channels. I haven't. Earlier tonight on my members only, it was asked about what I thought of it, and I figured that if it was state and state only, it was probably something to do with CSAM. And I think someone mentioned that it was. I was taking a guess at it because for all the investigations and a lot of state investigations that doesn't involve local law enforcement would be something that is probably connected statewide, that will develop from another city or county for the state police to come in. That's generally what happens in law enforcement. That if there is something that is a multi-county issue, they'll handle it, and sometimes they may ask a local agency to assist, but not always. And so when I saw that, I figured it had to be something that was a multi-state, interstate jurisdiction of possible other counties. Now, if you have Homeland Security and the FBI involved in it also, then of course you're looking at stuff that's crossing state lines. If you're talking about they are refreshing watching Ruckus and LA communicate. They're dead honest with each other and nothing to be taken serious. Uh-oh, let's see here. I had someone, I'll get to it in a minute here, but it looks like we've had some type of donation, and thank you. Hopefully I'll be able to find you, whoever it was that gave $9.99. I should find you here in a minute. Hello, Jennifer Rochelle. It's good to see you. There's Copper Horse as always. Miranda Lee says, I'm not too shabby. No. MK, good evening or morning, depends. If you're on the East Coast, we are now officially in the morning hours. Hello, Dwayne's Prospecting Adventures. It's you. Susan, hello. And Lula or Lala. Oh, I was in there supporting them one late night, Steve, and Mrs. Steve has you trained well. They had some colorful language, and you were going to tell the story of how you almost cussed once. Yes. Yeah. If you work with the guys, I've had my colorful moments, but being facetious as I am. Oh me, they are some characters. Oh, Newfoundland, about as far east as you can go in North America. Absolutely. Wow. I won't get in that part of the country so much, and I want to take a cruise, um, and Iceland, Greenland, Newfoundland, uh, all the way to Ireland and things. I think that would be an interesting cruise. Poor Jocelyn. I heated up my lunch early just so chat doesn't make me hungry. I would love to hear more about the Florida efforts, even though I know they are few. Um, I need to get through there, and I would love to go, and I haven't worked on that one yet, but I'm most certainly um, watching Ruckus. I've watched Kristen talk about it. She holds it dear to her heart also, and it has been that it never got the due attention it deserved, and sadly so. Yeah, Michelle. No, I haven't looked into the Fort Worth trio as of yet, but it's on my list right there. Thank you. And I also saw when I was doing some more research on uh, the Springfield 3 that I saw where there was a link about that to that, and I found that interesting, and so I'll get to it and look at it. Even with all the tornadoes we had last week, the Waffle House index was green. Yes, as long as they're open and they got plenty of food, it will stay such. And Josh is going to Denny's. Goodness. Question: if you have to pick one suspect for JonBenet, who is it, please? I go with outsider. Now there's several of the outsiders that have, you know, there's some strange things with that case. You know, we have an individual, um, the Santa Claus, whose daughter was, I believe, kidnapped, or was she assaulted? She was assaulted, but the wife wrote a story about a child that had been taken into a basement, and almost identical type of story. They're very interesting, but there's a lot of people have, and it's been looked at by so many different people that have connection. And if the handwriting um, analysis, not so much for JonBenet, but of the story of the girlfriend of the reporter whose handwriting is so similar. I found that extremely interesting also. And which, you know, how much of that story is true or not. But of all the ones I have interest in, the one with the handwriting from the reporter, that the girlfriend or whoever took all his writings and created that, if that's true, um, I would find that in the investigative part of it extremely interesting. I've heard attorneys say never talk to police. It's confusing. Can you comment? Sure. Um, if law enforcement's job is that they investigate either calls or suspicious activities that they witness. Now they're out there doing a job, and um, sometimes by, you know, invoking your right to remain silent does prolong their ability to move on to other calls. It depends a lot about the circumstances. You know, if they're going to arrest you, they're going to arrest you. It doesn't matter if you say anything or not. Um, but you know, if they come up to you and they advise you of certain things that's going on in the neighborhood, and that they're looking for a certain individual, you know, by all means, uh, let them get their job done and go, for the fact that not only is this call and anything that, you know, each one of you have to make those calls on the basis of how you want to interact with law enforcement. But for them to be able to go out there and go from call to call, sometimes they'll pull up and they'll ask people, and if you refuse to answer any of their questions, of course, then they have to stay there while that suspicious person that they're looking for could be of a great danger to the community or whoever called that in. I mean, it could be a stalker, it could be a burglar, it could be someone that has even worse intent. And so anything that you do and that could slow down the process of them doing their job. I know a lot of people think that when law enforcement comes and talks to them, that they're being targeted. That may not be the case. Now they're targeting uh, uh, when they go out and answer these calls. Of course, they're trying to find an individual, and if by chance you're dressed similar, then of course they're going to talk to you. And uh, and there's a lot to be said that sometimes officers do come across as extremely rude, and um, you know, they and makes one suspect or feel like they're being abused. And is that sometimes the case? Yes. Uh, and but always remember that if you are approached by an officer and you have absolutely nothing, but they, you know, they say, "What's your name?" and you may ask why. Is there a call looking for someone similar to what I'm dressed? And if they say yes, then of course you know what the call is, and you just have to choose how you want to proceed. Here he is, or Laura Ann. Do you know about the Chris Watts case? It seems like they wanted to tie it up in a nice bow and save money, but they got him to confess. However, have you heard more about the mistress involvement? Um, I saw where I don't know that much about the mistress involvement, but I know there was some mentioning about that she was in town or something. Um, and if that is the case, it is concerning. Um, but I don't know if she was actually in town or not. And that's totally if she was available and could have participated, then of course she does need to be looked at because it is truly evil what happened to to his wife and those children. I mean, pure evil. Sharon says, "Nice haircut by Miss Steve." I will tell her that. Thank you. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to do blue again whenever I did. I forget sometimes, guys. Appreciate it. And thank you for your support, Laura. It means a lot to us. Let's see here. Jeff says, I noticed in the last stream that some mentioned AWP. I have some of the old crew as subscriptions. Um, last week, several of them started their own search team. United Search Corps is what they call it. Excellent. And I wish them well. There's there is so many people out there and that need help. And anyone out there that is willing to go out and put their lives on the line or their time on whatever, uh, to help these families, hats off to them. And sadly, I hate what has happened to the AWP, and where would that go? I have no idea. Lorianne, the Google machine. I'm glad you figured out Outlook. I haven't figured out much of anything other than Photoshop. You give me Photoshop, I can do just about anything. Used to be said I came late. What's happening? Not much of anything. We're just having an open chat tonight. I've been trying to get everything ready to go on the road, and a lot of decisions got to be made this week. I am not familiar with Delphi. Delphi was where Libby and there's two little girls um, that named Libby and Abby, and Liberty German and Abigail Williams were abducted in 2017, February the 13th. And from their abduction site on the Monon High Bridge, the following day they were found the victims of homicide alongside the creek, not far from where they were abducted. And it was a cold case. And has only been solved this last year after 6 years. And now with Richard Allen, who is in jail waiting charges, it is moving forward slowly but surely, and we're looking forward for justice for these young ladies. Yes, good to see you. Mark, just got done watching Ruckus and LA Great Live. Yes, they are. They work well together, and like I said, that's typical law enforcement that you see in the squad room, and even more colorful. Absolutely. And there are so many missing persons. How do you decide what to investigate? The two active cases that I absolutely am dedicated to as far as the cold cases, those are people that contacted me, and I'm working those. As we move forward, um, because there's so much time involved working the cold case, um, that rather than go out and just and you can't create content on some of the things that we're doing on some of these cold cases. Um, of course, we're going to be going to Texas to do a search on Amber Crumb, and but there's some things as far as the Evansdale homicides that we can't discuss because there's things that will be happening in the coming weeks and months. But as we clear one or do as much as we can on a case, we'll be opening new cases in the future. And if the families allow us to discuss them, we do. If not, then of course we don't discuss them. MK. Uh, Dave said he just listened to a cold case that got solved in Fort Worth, Texas, dated back 1974. Wow. And used to be $1.49 super sticker. Thank you for your support. True Crime Web, Steve. Do you know if Lyric Morrissey's parents are still in prison? I believe they're both out. I believe. I'm not sure, but I thought I saw where someone, at least one of them is out. I don't know about the other, but um, and does Drew ever talk to Lyric's parents? I don't know what how deep it is. Whenever I go and talk to Drew, we pretty much just um, uh, talk about from his family's perspective, not so much the others. Um, Dave says, Steve, do you think law enforcement had all the evidence in the Delphi case, and they just didn't have the who? Yes, I think they had all the evidence, and of course, and looking and having the bullet and not having the firearm, and how he slipped through the cracks of saying he was there. Now, had law enforcement, the attorneys say that they'd never spoken to him other than during that initial interview. And so that leads me to the belief that he did slip through the cracks for the fact that if he hadn't, and after talking to that first officer in that parking lot at that store, then they would have followed up and said you was there that day and who did you see, and because the if you'd had the chart, the flow chart on the wall, mind map, whatever you want to call it, and had the connection that these girls are describing an individual, and then you have an individual that says I was there that day. Good law enforcement procedures would be is that you would talk to them to verify that you are the individuals the three girls saw, and what did you see other than the three girls, and then of course with the other witnesses that came forward about seeing him on the first platform, and would it have made a difference? I believe so. Oh yeah, on the $1.49, I forgot. Y'all have to remind me, Copper Horse. Thank you. Used to be anytime you give. Mrs. Steve is normally over here sitting beside me, and she'll hit the blue light. um, Nothing says love like letting your wife cut your hair. Um, I That's true. Probably letting her shave you with a straight razor would show a little bit more love. Uh, but I uh, you better leave a good clean life if you let a lady around your throat with a straight razor. Do some crimes catch your attention more than others? Absolutely, especially the children, the defenseless, and the elderly. Um, you know, as active, strong, young adults, we get to make choices, and but the children that they don't, and they're preyed upon. They don't have the defenses that some of the adults. Not saying that all adults are able to defend for themselves, but um, if you place yourself in certain risk factors, then that's fine. But these children, while they're out and they're innocent and they can be easily misled or threatened and taken advantage of, absolutely have no use for those predators. And also for the elderly, because the elderly, they go back through the same thing that children are. They'll go into that childhood stages of, can be misled, easily confused, and taken advantage of. So I have a soft spot for them, and don't like people picking on them. And I agree with you, Triple S. I think someone was in the house for a long time before they came home from the party that night. Absolutely. Jennifer Rochelle, she says, "Thank you, Steve. I don't know what I did, but you're welcome." Mr. Steve from QS says, "I hope you saw one of these cold cases." I do too. And not just this, but just having an impact, bringing awareness, and generating the one tip, just like whatever happened and whatever brought forth the information for Richard Allen. Um, and that's all it can take is, like I said, I never worked a case in my life that one tip couldn't have solved. Disappeared on Springfield 3. Stacy's mother found their purses lined up and intimates missing from Stacy's clothes. TV left on static, staged without leaving a trace of crime. I hadn't got that far into all that, but that is interesting if that's true. Um, and I can't believe the the message on the answer machine got deleted. Mm. Southern Guy, True Crime Web. Which did you prefer more, investigating or CSI work? Um, Probably the CSI work, um, because all of those were major crimes. Well, not all of them, but um, the on the homicides, the death investigations, because there's so much pressure and so much hinge on the importance of what you do. Now, I processed thousands of thefts, burglaries, autos, and things of those lesser crimes, although some of them can lead to very serious crimes. Um, but all the death investigation, because like I said, so much hinges upon that. Like I said, there's so many different types of death investigations, from natural to um, accidental, self-inflicted, and homicides, and natural causes, and a lot of them look like others, um, and especially when you get there, you let someone die of natural causes in a certain environment, and a lot of things happens to the body rather quickly, and they can be very misleading, and you have to be careful when you analyze them, regardless, until you can decide which of those it is. Speaking Speaking of Ruckus, there he is. Absolutely, there he is. Great show tonight, Ruckus. I'm getting further and further behind. And Lynn, absolutely. If they come up there and they're respectful and they tell you, "Hey, we're doing this," um, but and it doesn't, Jennifer. I can't imagine taking so much time to write a ransom note in the house and just and leaving her. It makes no sense, in my opinion. I always thought that possibly that note fell out of the pocket and wasn't placed on the steps. Although, don't know. I don't know why I felt that way, but it. I don't know all that much about it. I haven't really looked into it as much as a lot of people. Pigeon Mac, that some of the people wearing uniforms are human. Absolutely. Yes, Watts is absolutely the one that made all the decisions. He's the one that's taken full responsibility, and he is true evil. Anyone to do that and place some children where he placed them, absolutely. Dave, bring an extra chair to the Waffle House for defense. Let's see here. What's going on? Ruckus says, "Can Mrs. Steve do anything with my hair?" Absolutely. Um, the I don't know if you. I don't know how much hair you have. I don't know if you shave or if you're absolutely bald. But um, some of her coffee will put hair on your chest and your head. She makes great coffee. Oh God. Oh yeah. Yeah. Y'all need to make some type of AI so that I can get that thing to come on automatically. Yes, and, Pigeon Mac, you were right. Anything that you brought up to keep her that wouldn't allow Mrs. Steve to turn on and off the blue light, she's like a kid. She's like my grandson in my patrol car. He wants to go out there, and, whenever we play cop and robbers going up and down the driveway in the patrol car, you know, he's on the PA system, he's on the siren and on the red light, stopping bad guys. Um, so there's no rest for the weary when my grandson's in the patrol car. This is absolutely funny. Do you miss the days of hanging up the phone with conviction, Steve? Oh my goodness, you were like a fly on the wall. Mhm. Oh yeah, yeah, the old touchstone. WL 22. Good to see you tonight. Um, these cold cases are the creepiest, but yet I am so drawn to them. Why? Probably due to survival. We have to be aware of our situation, and they're a constant reminder that no matter where you're at, even sleeping in your bed safe at night, that evil's out there, and you have to be absolutely aware of it and prepared. Mr. Steve, Colorado trial, Stauch murdered. Yes, uh, Colorado has not guilty by reason of sanity. Please, Shrink will testify. Some sort of childhood trauma, PSTD kicked in. Thoughts? Um, there's no excuse to do what they did. I don't care what you're suffering from. Um, that will allow you that if you won't take the medicines and you won't take whatever it is that will control you, then absolutely you're a danger to society and you shouldn't be on the streets. But that's just my 2 cents. Um, yeah, it was strange about Stockton. You ain't heard anything since they got him. Absolutely amazing. Oh, I love this, and I know she's probably gonna come back in with the rest of it. But, Steve, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but how long do that oh, I love it. Oh God. Hi, Mr. Steve. You mentioned Nevada earlier. Can you talk about the case? It's Aiden Clune, and Chris is talking to. I think he's going to have the mother on his show this week, hopefully. And if available or if they need us, I know Chris is going to go and assist them, and I might. It just depends how Texas goes, and I may go out to Nevada. I just got to see what my schedule is. Are you familiar with the Donita Wilkerson case out of Southern Indiana, coming up on 3 years this Father's Day? Still no sign of her. There's several of them missing in Indiana. I don't know which one she is. There's one where I thought it was older though, where the father's name is Donald. I don't know if that's the one or not. Um, Miranda says, I really like Doug Carter from the Indiana State Police. To me, he is the epitome of a professional law enforcement officer. Absolutely. He's professional. He's a boss. He's admin. No doubt. The only thing he ever gave me a headache on was those two sketches. Put them together, throw them away, and then you have the suspect, which turned out to be eerily correct. Alpaca Renee, your videos just keep getting better and better. Thank you. That's very nice of you to say. Do you believe that law enforcement should release information after a certain amount of years? There is a case from 1982 in my area that police have never released any information, still call it active. Absolutely, law enforcement should not take it to the grave. Um, and having a individual identified, regardless if, at a certain point, if you have a offender out there that's active and you say, well, we rather keep it secret, but now you have further victims due to the information you have kept secret. There's a time and place that you have to realize that other people's lives can be affected by the information you keep. And I do believe that there should be a timeline that, you know, well, for, what about the victims that could have been saved if they were aware, and it may, not saying that it will always jeopardize a case. It might endanger it, but still getting that individual off the street or identified, that can save other victims. And I believe that. And like I said, it's just my opinion. I think it should be released after a certain time. Betty, we cut each other's. I tell Hubs I'll be out in public with him, so I better look good. Um, let's see, try and get caught up here, guys. Laura Ann says, great show, Ruckus. Absolutely. Mr. Steve, are you ever afraid? Not so much for myself. I should have probably been um, dead a long time ago. Um, I've been shot at. I've had people attack me with knives. I've been beat on, been in riots, been in a few firefights, and survived them. Um, and you know, probably the closest I ever got. I fought I fought a man and his two sons for a long time, for about 12 minutes. And as far as being concerned, that was probably the most concerned I'd ever been, for the fact that when you're in a violent confrontation, and of course, being a law enforcement, you're armed. But when you can't get to your gun and your gun is on your hip in your holster, but you're fighting so hard and so much is going on that you don't have that you can't take in one hand and reach down and in that split second, you don't have the time to get it, and feel people trying to get it out of your holster. It is concerning, but as far as fear, even during those times, it didn't really enter my mind. Um, I knew I had a job to do, and I did that job. And there were 4 bloody people at the end of that confrontation. And let's say at that time, I was in my 20s. I'm an old man now, but in my 20s, I was very fortunate to be hard headed and relatively tough. Fuza, good to see you. I'm glad you made it. Good to see you. Let's see here. Paula, I absolutely understand that statement. Just connected. The Wi-Fi was out. I've lived the Wi-Fi world of being out. How old is your grandson? My step grandson is 8. Sounds just like him. 4. He he wants to be 5 so bad right now, but he's 4. Lynn, why are there so many gun shootings lately? What can we do to protect ourselves? It's part of our world, but I would never want to live in a world that didn't have firearms. I've never feared a lawful citizen with firearms. I've never feared a criminal with firearms. I always had one myself, but um, there's no answer to it. Absolutely none. Charismatically clever. Ruckus, you stalking again? Oh, leave him alone. Oh, poor old Ruckus. Uh, how could he stalk anybody? I mean, you can look at Ruckus and see that he's innocent. Yes, I hope that Aiden's mom is. I don't know what night Chris is going to have her. I'm so glad that Chris got moved into his new apartment. He was funny to talk to. He said it was absolutely nightmare to get moved in and everything, but he finally got in there, and I'm glad for him. And Kat, you're absolutely correct. Those children, um, absolutely no need for what happens. Steve, related to the Idaho 4, they say Koberger may have ties to homicides in Oregon and Washington. Any thoughts, rumors? I believe it's mostly rumors, but uh, and of course they will be looking into those. Um, and it would be, you know, in this day and age, and his computer use and his schooling, they're going to be able to rule out a lot of things because of his class schedule of having to attend all those courses to the point that he's at now. Because talking to Dr. Susan and understanding how long that takes and how much you have to put into that type of education, um, that a lot of those cases would be easily ruled in and out by his class schedule. And not only that, but whatever digital footprint he has. So, and if you can rule him out of those like in such a manner, then it's relatively simple on those. But if he wasn't in class during those times, then of course they may have a little bit more issue. Do you think they ever identify the Zodiac? Absolutely. If that DNA profile he sent so many letters, and those letters had stamps. And I know they said they got a DNA profile off of one of them. Now, did they get them off of more, or where are those letters now? Where are those stamps? And did he lick them? And so his correspondence, I believe, will lead to it, plus any other type of possibility. I always found it interesting about on the taxi, that the bloody fingerprints didn't lead to someone, and I always wondered if he possibly there was another unidentified victim that had never been in jail or something, that he might have possibly staged that by using um, uh, some um, body parts. And Lane Seawright. Mr. C, what do you think about the so-called smiley face? Uh, uh, you ever see similar cases in Georgia? 4 college-age males found in the river this year in Austin. Makes me wonder. Um, there was a lot of those, but how many smiley faces do you see? And I know that affects a certain part of the community, and it is interesting. And there's a lot of serial offenders out there that they'll pick up on those keys, and it's so easy to stage that. Oh, okay, there's the smiley face here, so we'll go do that. And copycats, not so much as far as the homicides, but they could be very similar as far as victimology. And then when you include just something like that, it can absolutely drive law enforcement crazy. Yes, I know it, and it is. I understand that, and that a lot of the people don't realize they're sick and what's going on. But we still have to, either we allow it, and or we have to do something about of that. And how can we? And you know, you you just have to control, and we have to control them. It doesn't matter, because it's not worth the lives of our innocent children and the lives of the elderly and innocent people. I hate that that it is a sickness, but I'm not going to allow that sickness, if I have any ability to stop it, to affect my family, and I'll deal with that. Regardless if they say, well, he was mentally ill. That's not important. The important is the safety of my family and my grandson, and of when I was on the job wearing the badge, the safety of whoever was I was trying to protect, and that's on my patrol. Um, I really wasn't a therapist, and I'm not a therapist. But if I have to make a decision between someone that has a sickness or the a loss of an innocent life, then the one with the sickness is unfortunately going to have to face the consequences. It's hard, but that's part of it. I feel bad for them, but sometimes we have to make those decisions, and we don't get to have that history, and some of them you just cannot deal with. A lot of people thinks that you can talk some of these people down. No, some of them you will not ever talk down. Yes, and they could, and let them follow up. Absolutely, but um, even if you let it out until it gets to the general public when they're looking for that one clue, I think it should be released to the public. Jennifer, I like entrapment. I still want to know what you guys were taking pictures of with that digital camera. Huh. I missed whatever was going on there. Jeff, Jeff, I remember when the internet dating became a thing in early 20s. I was chatting online and someone claimed to be in her 20s, offered to meet her. She was 40 plus. Scary. Okay, finally. JonBenet, you keep missing me. I'm sorry. I'm trying to go through here and I may move. I'm wondering if I'm not showing. No, I hadn't seen, but once or twice. I'm sorry. Do you think we'll hear from Sled sooner or later about Stevens? Uh, Only after they probably make an arrest, um, or if they need to release that information to find or more information on possible suspects or things that they use public at large for. But no, we won't hear anything until either an arrest is made or they decide to use it as part of the strategy to locate more evidence. It's a, you know, yin yang thing of because law enforcement will use the public, they'll use the news to further the cause, and that's all we can ask of them to do. Uh, MK said we had a shooting here in Alabama at a teens party today. Hate that. Well, Ruckus says I have to run today. I'm hoping to do a live with you, LA, and I soon. Absolutely. Steve, thoughts on mass shooters, especially red flag laws? Uh, Red flag laws to when people report them that they are someone that's dangerous and they have firearms, and law enforcement can come in and simply um, seize firearms and things. Um, it can be weaponized, and I'm not really fond of all the red flag. Um, I think that you should have to go to the courts if you're at a location, and judges are always available. And that's the thing that a lot of the things that they talk about that, well, uh, we can't, do certain things. Now, in my jurisdiction, there's judges available 24/7. And I believe that would probably be the case in almost all jurisdictions of that. And I think that we should respect the Constitution and everything, and probable cause should exist for everything. Because, like I said, what happens if you weaponize a red flag law and you disarm someone, and then they're a victim of a crime, and the whole intent was to make them accessible and create an environment where they're not able to protect themselves. So we have to be very, very careful with how we do that stuff. On mass shooters, uh, it is part of it, and that's for people that are brighter than I. Of will we ever stop it or solve it? No, I don't believe so. Um, and how will we? I think we're past the point that will ever be solved, no matter what we do, um, uh, because criminals are not going to abide by the laws anyway. Mr. Steve, here's a cold case that may pique your interest. Roderick Batts in 2009 was shot twice outside Waffle House. And I'm sure there was some witnesses. That'd be interesting. I'm trying to trick my cat into eating her multivitamin. I didn't know that cats needed multivitamins. That's funny. And you're right, Jocelyn. Guns don't hurt people. People hurt people. Say he's a Yankees and Patriots fan. Oh my goodness. Jennifer, you're correct. It's a lot for me to do because I'm not used to this stuff. I'm not as effective or efficient as some of these people make it seem extremely easy, but I try to get to as many people as I can. And that's what is amazing that of all the letters and envelopes that Zodiac and correspondence that he sent to the newspapers, that you would think that they would have more. And something else that we have now that we didn't back then, maybe not lick, but even the touch DNA, because you're dealing with stamps that were sticky, and so there could be, even that. And have they resubmitted them for that? I'm sure they have. I'm hoping they have. I tried disguising it by smashing it into one of her favorite treats, but that's a no go. She ate everything but her vitamins. And you dissolve vitamins into milk, and I know that I've never had a cat yet that didn't like milk. At Ruckus, I'm impressed at your politeness. I, that's an interesting description. Because I can guarantee you that the way that he interacts with fellow law enforcement officers and in jesting with others, but when the inmates uh, get the wrath of Ruckus, um, that language would be extremely colorful also. What do you think of social workers going to call? I think it's bonkers. I would never allow anyone in my family to become a social worker um, uh, because, like I said, it often ends badly for law enforcement, and it just, you know, if they think that it's going to work out better, that these people are going to listen to them all the time, no, you'll have some maybe, but the cost of that will be extreme. And you are correct, Lisa. Most mentally ill people are not violent. Absolutely correct. Some of them are funny to talk to, and they just go about their ways, and they're not violent. But the ones that are extremely dangerous, and we have to. And those are the ones that you have to identify. And ha- have I talked? I've talked to thousands of crazy people in my life, and I'll probably talk to a few more thousand as I move through through my life. Um, and I've seen that. Well, I've seen them look you in the eye and absolutely wish and try everything in the world to make sure that you no longer exist on this planet. And Jill says, Steve, do you think we'll hear about Stephen's autopsy investigation within weeks, months, or years? Um, like I said, I don't think we'll hear anything from them unless they need us as part of their strategy. Yes, and you're right that there's some countries that have programs that work, but this country here, we're pretty violent people, day in and day out. Uh, I've seen some absolutely crazy stuff. Um, Lane Seawright, 999. Thank you. I've been seeing a lot of careful student driver stickers in my area recently. Typically, one person in the car, at least not student age. Have you seen this? And so, what's going on there? No, I haven't seen that. Um, Careful student driver. No, I seen. We used to have it on the when we had driver's ed in school, um, and I think now it's all privatized. But back in the day, they used to have driver's ed. Ann says, "What do you think about a limit on the number of guns a person can possess? Seems like sometimes these folks have arsenals in their suburban home basements, and they do. Um, and regardless of the arsenals they have, an individual can only use one gun at a time, so they can have as many as want. I've known collectors own, you know, my father was a World War II gun collector, and actually, that's a 303 right there, actually, for World War II. And that shotgun over there is probably from that era. Um, I don't even know how old it is, but and but and so I really don't worry about how many guns an individual owns because, like I said, they can only pick or choose one or two of them to use, and so it is something that you know the media and law enforcement makes so much issue of that. But there are gun collectors out there, and people collect a lot of different things. Some people collect knives. Some people collect um, fishing equipment. And I understand that guns is of a different thing because it can be used, but most gun owners are nonviolent. It's just like the mentally ill. Most gun owners are nonviolent. Most of the people with mental illness are nonviolent, and not saying they're even related, but and it's only when certain individuals act out and takes a firearm that we even hear of it. I did not know that. They need multivitamins if they're very picky eaters. I did not know that. Um, Mrs. Steve's allergic to cats, and we used to have several cats. I think uh, Baby Steve and Mrs. Steve, we had like 4 cats at one time, garage cats. But she's allergic to them, and but we're down to 1 cat now. I think it's like 18 or 19 years old. And Jennifer says, personally, I want assault rifles banned. You know, and what is the answer? Um, you know, you're going to have people on one side and then the other, and somewhere in the middle is the right answer. And what would that be? You know, um, and there's certain types of weapons out there that you may or may not um, um, agree with. And like I said, I've faced them all pretty much. I've been shot at by just several different types. How do we get started in cold case research? Whatever state you're in, or whatever state, or whatever age that you were interested in looking at, absolutely just go to that and type in whatever state and say unsolved cases, cold cases, homicides, and it will give you a list of the top 10 for your state. And if that's what you're interested, if you're interested in children or such, you can go to True Crime Web. We have a Cyclops system that has children throughout the United States in every state, and you can look at those. And you're correct. They used to have those little rollers that had the seal envelopes and affixed stamps, and but back in the day, pre DNA, no one would have known that science would ever get to that, especially when the Zodiac was active. That was pre DNA knowledge. Yes, that is absolutely one of the most weird things of why he did that, and as living out that fantasy that uh, of approaching them and to generate whatever it was that and what drove him to do that, because that is extremely chilling that anyone would do that to invoke fear. And I'm sure that whatever relationship he had with women or otherwise, it was along those lines also. He would have been extremely violent and intimidating and would like to bring fear into any interactions that he had. There's some strange people out there. Steve, Ruckus is a mess, but I love his ornaments. Um, he was on my show, extremely well mannered, and same with L.A. Whenever I go on his shows, he gets a lot of ribbing that when I'm present, that his mannerisms and his speech changes um, for whatever reason, and which I find extremely funny. Um, but and I appreciate uh, that they think they have to be that kind or that gentle in my presence. There's nothing they could ever say that I haven't heard before, so it wouldn't shock me. But I I uh, appreciate them going and giving that little extra effort. I think on the violent video that they should be age restricted, of course, and they are. But sometimes parents don't parent, and parents need to parent. You know, like Ruckus said, you don't have to be their friend, but you do need to be their parent. Yes, I need to go on a Waffle House tour. I would absolutely enjoy that. Animals are funny. Earlier, a horse snatched my bag of rice and ran off with it. Let me tell you about. I don't, um, and I've been bit. Like I said, I've been bit by more species than probably I should, if I could apply to the world. What is it? The World Records, Guinness Book of World Record. I would probably hold by the most species being bitten by, because I've been bit by everything: horses, donkeys, sharks, spiders, snakes, people, dogs, cats, and um, and so I've been bit by a lot of different species, and but the the worst bite I ever got was by a donkey, and got me in my back, and I chased him for probably almost I guess 30 or 40 minutes trying to get him cornered because me and him was going to have a discussion. Thank you, Southern Gal, for your support. And can't argue with that. If people have them, access to them, they're more likely to use them. Yes, that is true. There's no, you don't have something, you can't use it. Sorry, I was trying to imply that the careful student driver stickers are fake. I assumed to evade law enforcement. Was curious. I don't know. I hadn't seen any. I don't know what part of the country you're from, but no, I don't know. You see those stickers and everything else to evade the um, uh, HOV lane, high occupancy vehicle lanes of where they'll baby on board, or some of these people go to extremes and put those mannequins in the passenger seat just so they can ride down that lane. Um, Jill says, I can't donate until Bay Day. That's fine. There's no big deal about that. I appreciate your support, watching the videos, every now and then watch an ad. Um, do whatever you feel comfortable doing, but it's not necessary. I absolutely appreciate all the support from my members, for the people that donate, to those that give to the foundation. I've been extremely well blessed, and I appreciate all of you. Never expected it. Never. Uh, CM, I'm confused why my message is gone now. I don't know. Um, I think I got an email from you earlier, and I'll look at it, but I don't know why it would be gone. Thank you for asking my "What do you think?" question. Blue light. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Uh, but yeah, just I'll get with you either tonight or tomorrow. And if I can see your message, I will answer it. And this is the other side of the story. Yes, the Second Amendment has a purpose and should read the Second Amendment. And that's on the other side of it. And like I said, the final solution is going to be somewhere in the middle. And what that would be, don't know. Should gun owners have to pay insurance? Um, I mean, we do. We have liability, and then you can also choose to buy other types of insurance. But um, cat, it's going to be the Zodiac. He had assaulted a female and male that were on a lake, and tied. Uh, they were tied. He had the female tie up the male, and then he retied the male again and tied her. And he had attacked them both with a knife. Female died from her injuries, and the male survived. and was able to describe the dark hood and the Zodiac sign that he had sewn onto the hood area that came down across his chest. Creepy is about as good a term as you can say for it. Extremely creepy. What was the case that frustrated you the most? There were a lot of cases I was frustrated on. Didn't clear them all up. They're always going to be that. Looked at some cold cases. Some of them are frustrating that you know what the evidence is telling you and you know who did it, but you still can't get them into court. There's a lot of those out there. I'm glad they sent you here, Winch, that they sent you here. And you're right. I put in Ruckus's channel in his chat earlier tonight that it's these guys, law enforcement, such as people that I work with, like Ruckus and LA, who I have utmost respect, that they'll stand in harm's way at all costs. And I work with a lot of professionals just like that. And I appreciate them for doing that because you see some people that won't. And for whatever reason, they go into it and they don't take that oath seriously. And they'll get you hurt. And the survivor of Lake Salt said at one point, the Zodiac, I have to, and he sounded extremely nervous and apprehensive. What do you make of that? I never heard that, that he was ever nervous and apprehensive. Was it something he saw that maybe he was being seen by someone else? But I'd never seen that. I would love to treat you and Mrs. Steve to lunch when you're in the Northeast. Absolutely. I don't have any cases in the Northeast right now, but if you have one, let me know. I think horses have a better sense of humor than humans. I would probably think so. I've never heard about elephants having sense, but I'll take your word for it. Fuzla says, thanks, Jill. I feel lonely in my opinion sometimes. It's good to talk to someone with a like mind. And absolutely, you know, and as a society, we have lost that ability that people lose respect that either you agree with me or you don't. And if you don't agree with me, I don't have any use for you. Ridiculous. You know, um, uh, everyone should be able to state their opinion and be respected for that. And like I said, one of the greatest uh, comments I ever heard in my life was by a individual of a different political party, and we were having that discussion, and he asked me. He said, "Do you know why I'm on this party?" And I said, "No. I've often wondered how you would go along with the party guidelines." And he said, "I not that I'm so much a supporter of that party, but I thought it was necessary for me to be a part of this and be a spokesperson to slow the process down." And extremely wise and extremely smart man. And I respected him much for that. And animals can sense danger. Absolutely. I think even the earthquakes and the tsunami, I think they said that uh, in certain areas where the tsunamis of that Christmas that came in, that some of the animals were going to high ground well before the tsunamis came in. Jeff says that he broke his Grand Theft Auto for when he was 10 years old. Uh, never heard of that. I got spider bite fever from a spider once. That's a real thing. Never knew that. I had when I got bit, it inflamed, looked like blood poisoning, and it went halfway down my arm before my system was able to correct it. Like blood poisoning. Uh, tell us about the shark bite. It involved a cold beverage and fishing in the ocean and not paying attention due to the cold beverages and thinking that the shark, which was, probably 3.5 foot long, that you don't lip them like they're bass. They will bite you. He did. He locked down on that thumb. Mm. Used to be, did the donkey understand your language? He understood my intent. I don't know if he knew the language, but he understood my intent. Since the case I mentioned got removed from the comments, not sure why. I'm heading out. Good night, everyone. I hate that it got removed. I don't know what it was. I'm sorry. I commented yesterday about how I left instructions with my family to contact you if I ever got victim of homicide. Wish I could show you a picture of that. You can email it to me, Steve@truecrimeweb.com. Yeah, I hate that, CM. If that's Carolyn, I hate that. Does anyone know what the it was and why it might have got took off? I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see it. It had to be something that struck the algorithm or something. I would imagine on YouTube. YouTube does that sometimes. Um, okay. She says the email was about Texas stuff. I have a personal cold case. Seems hard to solve. Absolutely. Um, and and I'll look at it and I'll be getting back in touch with you. I'm sorry that it got removed earlier. I didn't see your message. And you're absolutely correct about cold cases. They are extremely hard to solve. It's like winning a lottery ticket if you do, because you know um, uh, we look and we take a lot of things for granted now when we look at cold cases that, and when they are solved in hindsight, and some of them are solved due just to that the going back and looking at the evidence, and is there any evidence of where there could be a transfer of DNA, because there's going to be so many solved, not only by the technology of DNA now, but as we advance forward. Yeah, I mean, things get removed. And like I said, sometimes these Google machines have a mind of their own. Yeah, that is absolutely. What do you think about the cops in New Mexico shot an innocent man? Yeah, it's absolutely a tragedy, and man, can't imagine. Terrible, absolutely. Uh, and what led to that? What part of your job did you uh, miss of verifying and re-verifying? Because now, if they were going on a call and they went to the wrong address, what once again, what was it? Now, if you were called there at the right address, what was going on? And so I'll have to. I don't know what the context of how that occurred, but something had to happen for um, that to occur, and I don't know what the interaction was. Um, Thank you, Sam. I understand that things can leave his chest, but seriously, yeah, I don't understand this thing all the time. Um, Steve, do you think Zodiac just changed his MO or and continued, or maybe he passed? Um, Probably a little bit of both. He could have went into prison, or he could have, as he went from no costume to having a costume, was there certain things going on in his mind and losing grasp of reality? Um, and could other steps or certain things have occurred? Absolutely. Okay, here we go. Trying again. David Short was 16 when he was kidnapped from his job in Burlington, Wisconsin. What evidence might still exist and be useful from a case that old? Um, from his job, of course, did they process the scene? And because knowing where someone is taken from and what evidence was there showing that there was a struggle, if there was a struggle, or did he willingly go along, and what type of situation was it? I'll have to look at that, but there was a reason that he was targeted, and from his victimology, and that's really where you would have to go, and not only victimology, but what's the demographics of Burlington, Wisconsin in 1973? Is it a large town? Is it a small rural county? Who were the troublemakers? What was going on in that area? Were there burglaries, uh, or any type of crimes happening? Whereas he might have wandered into a burglary and was just due to the circumstances that he was abducted and taken away. There's a lot of things that we have to look at. I'll look at that for you and and see what we have. But there's a lot of considerations on that stuff. What education level have you completed? If to me, it's I'm just streetwise. I'm not. I, all my training was in law enforcement. If I'm the one that you're talking to, I don't know if someone else has spoken to you, but all my training is just through the what you can learn on the streets and what law enforcement taught me, and all the training I went through in all those years. And this is absolutely correct. My dog is an exception to sensing danger. Sleep is more important to her than protecting me. Some dogs are that way, and we have several canines, as y'all can tell sometimes whenever they're up there. Um, and we have, of all of them, we have one that absolutely alerts on. Well, we have two, but one of them is extremely aggressive towards snakes. The others care less. And snake dogs are extremely valuable to have in the country. We need to get Kenda on a live. I need to get Copycats on a live because he worked with Kenda. Um, David, now you're going to stoop to insult. It's time for me to just ignore and block. I won't be insulted by anyone. Yeah, mods, if someone's coming in and David, if you're out there insulting people, there's a lot of places to go and insult people. This ain't going to be your spot. So if you have a something that you wish to ask or bring to the table, absolutely. But if you just come to troll, like I said, I don't know what the interactions were, but mods, if someone does come in and chooses to insult people, we know where they can go. You got me on this one. I don't trust camels. Got bit on the shoulder by one. Never been bit by a camel. So you've got me on that one, Cat. Did your cold beverage make you too clumsy with a shark? Yes, I think so. Uh, yes, it did. And David says, "Why does my question insult you?" You know, I don't know. What was your question? Was it if it was about the schooling and stuff? Um, I don't know where you're going with it, David, but um, it's really not a place to troll. I'm telling you. CM still here. Glad you are. Yeah, I try to be respectful of everybody as much as I can there, Jill. Do you think Brendan Dassey had anything to do with Teresa Hallback's case? That is an absolutely interesting case, and Chris and I have talked about that, and we may do a show on it. And so I don't want to be a spoiler on that. But there was a lot of interesting things that were going on there, and there's questions to be answered. It won't be long until you have 10K, Mr. Steve. Uh, at this level, you have so many people, and YouTube comes in and they filter that if some of them aren't active and stuff, that sometimes you flatten out. And I flattened out in the last few weeks, but it's no real big deal. I'm going to get 10K or I'm going to get 5K. I don't know which way I'll go, but I guarantee you I'll either have 5K or I'll have 10K before I'm done with this channel. But I'm heading there. I think I'm like 130 something. Yeah, Miranda. I know where you're going with that and everything. And there's always, it doesn't matter. There's certain people out there that they have a certain mentality, and they can be, you know, in law enforcement, you'll have certain individuals, and I worked with some that were absolutely, um, abs- uh, just, and some of them took that step towards being criminals. And you're going to see it in all careers. Um, and as far as the Michigan militia, also same thing. That some of those militias, that you're going to have the ones that are absolutely nuts, and you'll see it in every organization. You're going to have some of those are absolutely nuts. But and it's sad. Tim says, "I'm going to be quiet now." I ain't no need to be quiet. Fuser says that she never thought about that people would collect them and use them for fun. Yeah, I know a lot of people that shoot recreationally. I do. Mrs. Steve does. Um, why don't we have law enforcement use something like tranquilizer bullets to bring perps down? Um, I think it's probably the amount of time that it takes to bring some of them down. Now we have a lot of less lethals now that are coming of age as technologies come through. Some of the bean bags, and they can, anytime that you introduce that uh, type of platform into trying to gain control of individuals. But now, if you started introducing drugs into their system, it would open up because some people may not go down instantly and they're drugged and they're becoming less ability to control a drunken state and trying to control someone that's um, if they have certain weapons in a drunken state. Are you helping the problem or are you causing more of an issue? And so like I said, it's extremely complicated in the use of force continuum of how you have to handle these individuals. Um, and there's no simple answer. Good question, though, Ann. There might have been a few gas station robbers along that highway, tiny town, maybe 5,000. He wasn't supposed to work that night. And that may be part of it that he worked and the person that committed it, he knew who he was or something. Um, and the other people that, if this was a robbery that went bad and they decided either something happened and he recognized them or um, and wasn't supposed to be there. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons, but I'll look at that. Let's see here. Thank you, Pigeon Mac. How long does law enforcement keep evidence? As long as necessary, as long as there's a case. Some of the misdemeanor stuff, maybe not so long, but all the major case homicides is locked away in evidence rooms. The little girl kidnapped in Hall County, Georgia, in the '70s was deleted. I don't know if they ever solved that case or not. I don't know. David Gray is not insulting people. True crime web. I understand, but I don't understand the part about asking anyone what education level are you. I don't understand that. And Jeff, if other people don't agree with you on the Second Amendment, I don't know what that's about either. So careful there too. Everybody be respectful of each other. Let's be adults. Yeah, we just need to agree. And David Gray, yeah, um, and for some reason was unsettled about it. And like I said, I really don't, everybody on the education level, some of the, I work with people and, you, um, level of intelligence and can be on so many different areas. I often looked at it from this standpoint that if I was in, say, the Arctic, and I had to have a choice of a man that could tell me exactly how come fire occurs, or would I want one of the indigenous people that knew how to make fire, who was the most intelligent? I'm gonna go with the one that can make the fire, not the one that can tell me what warmth would come from the fire and how it and how that occurs. Uh, so and so everything is relative as far as even on how people view the the things that one learns in life. Okay, that's fine, Jeff. But like I said, I don't know. Y'all just be nice. But I know how to end it. If like I said, guys, if you can't play nicely, let's see here. He was on the outside of town, and the property owner found him really, really fast. Okay, yeah, I'll look at it. We ran long tonight, guys. I'm going on almost 2 hours. And says some of the highly educated people I know are some of the dumbest folks I ever met. Yeah, I missed that on the Second Amendment stuff. Everybody play along nicely, guys. Come on, folks. It's True Crime Web, not the Waffle House. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Um, it's going to happen, guys. Some people can, and it's going to happen. It's no real big deal. We'll all get along at some point. But anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all being here tonight. Appreciate everybody that supported the channel, and look forward to seeing y'all. Let's see, later, I guess. Let's see, tonight's Monday. I don't know if um, what's going to be going on with uh, Chris. If he's got everything set up on his computer for a show tonight, and if we do, I'll see y'all then. And if not, I'll see you on our next show. And look forward to seeing y'all. Why did I get called a troll and not Jeff? Hey, guy, um, like I said, I'm looking at it from the point that anytime I see someone question someone else's education level for whatever, it's just part of it. And if you liked it, fine. If not, that's just my 2 cents. And but anytime you bring up someone's education level, I take it as you didn't mean that in a kind way. And so that's how come I addressed it in that. And if you don't like it, like I said, I appreciate you being here, and but I'm not here to have any type of that stuff. So if you want to come back, good for you. If not, you can write whatever review you want, and I appreciate you being here this one time. If that's the way, there's no real big deal. But wish you the best in that. And if you're offended by me calling you a troll, okay, you're offended by me calling you a troll. But if you can get along with that, that's fine. If not, I'm not here. But let me fix Mr. Gray right here. Okay. There you go. All right, I fixed him. Uh-oh. I also hit the wrong. No, I didn't sign up, but I've got the thing jumped on me and I hit the wrong one. I've got to figure out how to get them back. But we'll work on that later. But anyway, guys, y'all have a good night, and appreciate y'all being here, and I look forward to seeing y'all soon. Bye-bye.